The first growth engine is the unlimited leads engine. Imagine having perpetual patients. Well, that is actually what can happen. All you have to do is be efficient at 3 sections of your business, or 3 segments, which would be your lead generation, lead nurture, and sales. Most do not keep them in-house. Most of them outsource. Most clients outsource their marketing to a third-party company. And unfortunately, this becomes a drop-off between lead nurture and the sales. So if you do it all efficiently, all 3 links of the chain, this is what can happen. I'm going to review the final numbers, and I'm going to go through the details of exactly how you do it. Okay, on day 1, right here, these are the categories. You're going to place an ad for about $100 onto a digital platform such as Meta, Facebook, or Instagram. That should generate approximately 10 leads if your ad is good. Your show rate, if you're good at lead nurture, will be a minimum of 40%. Your sales should be far better, but I'll use conservative numbers of 50%. So what that means is, as of 10, if you place $100 down here, you should have 2 sales. 2 sales of what? Well, you're not selling everything. You're selling one thing. And that one thing on a minimum value is going to be $500, okay? It should be actually higher than that. I'm using conservative numbers. So if you have 2 sales, $500, then $1,000 revenue, or at least what has been transferred from a credit card, is coming towards you for a $100 spend. If you're wondering why it's a negative, the reason for that being is the fact that it takes a couple of days for the money to transfer into your bank account. So you've spent $100, but you have not actually received the revenue yet. If you continue that on day 2, you're going to have another set of $1,000 in sales, but you're still not going to receive anything, and leave you negative $200. Okay. On day 3, money starts to actually hit your account. You're going to repeat this process for the entire week. And on day 3, you're going to have a $700 into your bank account, which would be the $1,000 from day 1, right here, finally making its way into the bank account, but you've already spent $300 in ad spend. So your minus $300 is the net of $700. And if you continue it for the entire week, your bank account should reflect about $2,500. That's there to pay for your expenses, and you have a client. You can continue to sell skincare and also injections. If you're saying, well, that's all fine and dandy, but it doesn't actually work that way in my clinic, well, we're going to go through exactly how you can create this model so you can have perpetual patients in your clinic and growing your business at all times. That might seem too good to be true, but the reality is, if you do the following things, it can happen, and we do see it all the time. So the first thing is, you're going to have to create an irresistible offer. You have to sell them a high ticket defined end program, which means it's going to have a start, it has a goal, and it has an end. And at the end, then you can sell them on a continuation program. The program's sales revenues must cover the lead generation, cost, fulfillment, and the CAC. The CAC is the client acquisition costs. Okay, so if you're efficient on your ads, then your client acquisition costs go down. If you get a referral, meaning your client acquisition costs go down, because you don't have to pay for that. Most people don't know what their CAC number is, or CAC ratio is, and it's probably the single most important, besides lifetime gross profit, numbers in your financial sheet. And if you don't know it, then you have to learn to find what that is. So if it covers all of your costs, the back end into a renewable vehicle, so it should be your maintenance program or a continuation program. So all expenses can be paid within 30 days. This is a key portion. So technically, somebody can take their money out on a credit card, and by the time 30 days is up, have everything back paid, and you have a client in your clinic. Let's get into the lead generation framework. This is the same framework that I use in my clinic, and also we use still to this day in Aesthetic Flight to accelerate people's med spas and aesthetic clinics. So first thing is that you need to know that great ads make money. Poor ads do not. So you must be pretty good at this. Otherwise, it's not going to be efficient enough to create perpetual patients. And I'm going to review exactly what you need to do to create that home run winning ad. The reason ads are important, and the reason you're going to do in digital, is digital ads equals data. You usually can collect information, and if they even don't come in immediately, you've got them now into a drip campaign, and you also compare data and improve your ads exceptionally quickly. You cannot do this with a billboard or a newsprint ad. It is not to say that they do not work, but this is the fastest way to dial in your marketing. So the fast feedback loop is one of the reasons why digital media has become the go-to for aesthetics clinics, is because you can test something and within a few days you will know if you're on the right track or you need to make adjustments. It's exceptionally efficient because of the targeting. You can be with a low cost of acquisition if you're really good at it, which means that you can actually get enough money back on your first sale to cover all costs, and you have a client with a relationship in the clinic. And it's not a complicated process, so it's pretty simple. If you can keep it streamlined, and you can have one offer for one avatar, and you get dialed in your lead nurture and your sales is for one thing, then that's how you become efficient. When people try to sell everything to everyone, you cannot become good at it. So the idea is keep the system as simple as possible. Digital ads are pretty simple. This is an actual ad that we used at our clinic that generated hundreds of leads and eventually led to hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. I did change the name of the location up here. So I've got the clinic just as a generic version of Skin Eureka, because I think the name of Eureka is fantastic. But essentially it would be whatever, ABC Clinic, whatever it may be. This one just happened to, I called it Skin Eureka. The key thing is that you're not selling a product, you're selling an outcome or some sort of event. If you're selling a product, it's going to be a commodity, and a commodity means that somebody's going to type it into Google and find out what the average price is, and they're going to know whether they're going to buy from you or not. That is not adding value, and it's not getting a result either. It must be something that's going to be interesting to the prospect. The prospect does not care about a treatment. They care about a result. The headline, it is the most important thing on the entire ad. The headline is the first thing you're going to test to make sure it works, and then after that, you'll change it. They said it, Ogilvy once said, you've written your headline, you've spent 90% of your dollar on advertisement. And it's true. If you don't get your headline right, there's probably little chance that your ad is going to be very good. So what can you put into the headline or should put in the headline? These are all the things that do go into a headline. The idea is hopefully you want to have as many as possible because it helps give information, but it can't be too much that is too long and then people won't be attractive. So idea of a headline, it can have duration, gender, it has to have the location. It could be about curiosity or the features and benefits of a status, okay? And the idea is could be against fear or towards pleasure, okay? So in this particular case, it is free and it's 21 day and it's the skin challenge, and it says where the location is actually in the picture. So it has all three of those. The idea is there's something called the champagne test. And what that is that if you walk into a room and you click a glass of champagne, everyone's gonna turn and look at you because you want to grab those people's attention. If you walk into a room and say, hey mom, all the moms are probably gonna look at you. If you walk into a room and say, Jane Smith is gonna look at you. So the idea is you want to call out your specific avatar, the person you're trying to attract, without being any more specific, that you begin to filter people before you have a chance to talk to them about your offer. So you want to have a location is great, so they know that what location they're in. You want to say, in this case, it says women, so specifically women in a particular area, and then it offers them the skin challenge. Other things you can do, such as the status, okay, and going towards or against fear. Going against fear is calling out or kicking the bruised knee, like, you know, are you camera shy because of your rosacea? That is like, yes, I am, and that's the negative portion. Or the flip side of that is, are you ready to look your best for your daughter's wedding? So that's the goal of the outcome. One's the negative and the opposite side is the positive. You can use either one of those to attract your avatar. The key thing is that it has to be exactly in the nomenclature or the verbiage that your avatar talks about. So if they are using certain words, if they're not using rosacea and they're using, red or blush face, then that's what you have to do. You have to know your avatar, and usually you do so and put those into your headline. The second is going to be your copy. Your copy is a little bit of a chance to describe specifically what solution it is that you can provide. And it also might go into more of a description of what the problem is you're solving and also the benefits that going into. Now, the key about copy, short, long, medium, You have to test them all. There's nothing too long about an ad copy. It is too boring. Assuming you're always adding value, then every line becomes important. Certainly there's ads that are super, super long, even like minutes and 10 minutes to read or consume the information. And they work just as well as something that is a simple couple of sentences. The key thing is it has to resonate with the exact person you're trying to attract. One thing that is super important about the ad copy is you have to describe it. Okay, you got to tell the story about what the benefit is. You have to associate it so tactically that the person who reads it can feel that what that outcome is like. Okay, an example might be if the benefit was to improve and so anti-aging, okay, so look 5 years younger might be the benefit. But if you want to describe it, it could be, look 5 years younger so that your high school fling does a head turn when you see him at your reunion. That becomes the story, and they can feel, oh, that's the reason, that's the status that I want to achieve, and it's been described, and it resonates specifically with the person you're trying to attract. That's super important. Describe, don't tell. Last thing is there has to be some sort of urgency implied or authority. So if you are the best at something, if you've got something that you can hang your medal at the best at anti-aging, getting rid of something, if you are a doctor that has certain types of certificates that nobody else has, make sure you put that in there. You want to start building trust so they know if they're looking for that solution to cure that problem, that you are the best to do so. Lastly is the scarcity and urgency. People get these confused. This is what is going to enact somebody to take action now. So it's one thing that they want the solution. It's another thing that they have the problem for that solution. And the last part is, are they willing to actually take the steps to get that solution today? Scarcity and urgency work the same, but they're technically two different things, okay? Scarcity is a limited quantity. Urgency is a limit of time. And you can use them both together or independently, but they are not interchangeable. They're two completely separate things. When it comes to the media content on your page, and this one was a photo that used moving words. Videos and photos are almost interchangeable. You're just finding out what specific things that are going to be engaging to your audience. Some examples are flashcards, backgrounds, change scenery, pro video, or iPhones. Sometimes people actually just like the candid one versus the highly produced one. Group testimonials, average Jane testimonials and a selfie testimonial, all of them different. You don't know what works. The key thing is test, try, and don't wait till you have a massive budget to start creating content. You have no idea what's going to work. So just put it out there, see what catches, and then double down on it. If you can create a theory of what is actually grabbing the attention of the person you're trying to get, then create a beta test, an A/B test, and test it. And if you can find out specifically for sure what it is, such as the person in the picture or the words or the offer, then you're going to double, triple, and 10x down on that winning ad. And at that point in time, when you find that winner, that's when you're going to scale and it's going to go through the roof. The second link in the chain into creating perpetual leads for your clinic is going to be your lead nurture cadence. How good are you at nurturing the leads that are people that are interested so that they arrive into your clinic? This is the biggest drop off I find in most clinics due to the fact that they outsource their marketing and the marketing agency says they are not responsible for lead nurture or the sales, and therefore your revenue is not changing because it's your fault, not ours. We got you the booking. Well, here's what we're going to go through. We're going to go through how and the why lead nurture is so important so you don't experience that same drop off and your revenue is not continually staying low while you're paying extra money for a third-party company to do the marketing. Okay, so the first thing is you don't want to lose momentum. When somebody decides to take action, such as hand over an email, say I want to know more information, do a booking, you want to keep that going. Life is busy for everyone, so if you take too much time, a new priority for that person will be put above, and they're not going to show up into that seat for what they booked weeks ago or talked about 3 or 4 nights ago. Okay. The second thing is you have to act like you care. Oftentimes people try to put things into a CRM and automate everything. Our brains know we've been inundated with automations and AI and everything else. The reality is that if nobody believes that there's a person on the other end of all of this messaging to to look and act like they care about their problem, then it doesn't work. So you have to have a combination of automations and quality, but also they need to know that there's somebody on the other end of all this that cares about them. Third thing is if you can associate that person, then use automation after the connection to scale and amplify. You can't do it by itself, but automation is wonderful after you've made that connection to really show that you care. Okay, those are the three things we're going to go over. The first category is faster. The key is speed to lead. When somebody decides that they want to opt in for something or book for something, you have 5 minutes to respond to their inquiry. Okay, after 5 minutes, the chance of them showing up or responding drops off precipitously and very, very quickly. It's just a steep dive after 5 minutes. That also pertains to when they respond back. Sometimes people send in or book in or ask a question and then they turn off their phone and they're not back at their phone for 2 more hours. When they are back and they do decide to respond to your first reply, then you also have only 5 minutes to respond to continue that conversation, or it will go cold. And then it goes from a reasonable percentage down to basically 0 after 5 minutes. Okay, the next thing that with regards to faster is how far out in a calendar is their bookings. If you're booking somebody or allowing them to book a month away, life is gonna change their priorities between when they book and when their appointment happens. So I suggest that always keeping it less than 5 days so that you can have that conversation. Otherwise, people will get busy. It will go down on the priority list. Their feelings will change about how painful the problem is, and they won't show up for their appointment. So keep it less than 5 days. Okay, next is more. So many clinics say that they do not want to bug or inundate their client or prospect with too much messaging. The reality is more people drop off because somebody doesn't do enough than they do too much. Actually, it's a handful of percentage that are going to be annoyed because you bug them too much. So long as you're adding value, make sure you keep your company and a solution and the problem top of mind so that they show up. So on the first time they opt in or they have a conversation, you're going to respond back in 2 minutes on day 1, then 1 hour later, and then 3 hours later. So you're going to hit them up a minimum of 3 times in the first 3 hours. Doesn't mean you're always going to use the same format, but you're going to mix it up and add different things, okay? From day 2 onward, for the next 5 days, it's going to be a morning, afternoon, and night. And you're going to track which one they're responding to. Some people have more time in the morning. Some people have a lunch break. Some people in the evenings, okay? Your client base and your avatar is going to average out. You want to know when that is so you can, when you're sending out information, you know when to do it. So days 1 to 5, it's going to be 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. If at that point in time they have not booked and they're not responding, drop down to 2 times a week. Going to do that between days 6 and 10, and then once a week from 11 to 20 in reality, and then drop down to every other day after that. So every other day until the end of 30. And at that point in time, they're kicked off the list. They're probably not at the right time to come in for their solution or their problem. They're still interested. So you got to knock them over to a drip campaign after that and keep going. Better is where you become better. And this is the chance to separate yourself from your competition. Everyone is going to do the bare minimum, which is the email confirmation, the 48 hours notice before appointment, and then the same day, 2 hours before appointment. That is no longer even anything, let alone something good enough to be better. Okay. And the idea is you want to be personal. You want to make it seem like this person is the biggest priority in the world and that you care about them. And you do that by making personalized messages. And sometimes you have to do things manually. Okay. As much as AI and all these automation tricks that are out there are fantastic, they're only a tool. And if you are not able to connect that a human is going to take care of them, then they're going to be useless. So the first step you're going to do is do variety, because you don't know whether people communicate on email, text. A phone call is a must, and then a video message. And I'll tell you how to do that. Second thing is any information that you collect, you should have the first name by then. So you should always be using the first name. You should never have a generic piece of communication going out after that. And if you, however, the nomenclature that you in your clinic use, then that's exactly how you're supposed to talk to somebody, because that is your character of your clinic. So if you say hey in a conversation, use hey in communication, okay? If they have booked in an appointment, they've already filled out the problem, or maybe the answer to an ad about a particular problem, then you're going to use that going forward. So a video message should go by every single person is that, use your practitioner on the phone. It takes 2 seconds. It says, hey, Jane Smith, I am Sally. I see I've got an appointment booking on Wednesday at 10 a.m. for you. You said you're having a problem with tone, pigmentation, and redness. We take care of this every day. I am positive we can help you out as well. And I see that you've got a big event, your daughter's wedding in 6 months. We're going to have you primed and ready to look just as good as her on that big day. Looking forward to seeing you. If you send that out, all your automations after that are going to be just amplifying that caring message. And if this seems like it's a little too much work, you know what? It's a lot of work to go keep new clients all the time and paying for new clients. And this is the opportunity. Guess what? Your competition's not doing it. That's how you become better. You want to be the one of one. You want to be the only person in your area that is doing this type of communication. The little bit of work up front makes it so much easier in the back end. The last category is availability, or being available. This seems like a no-brainer, but the reality is some people only allow consultations at certain times, and that is become your biggest bottleneck. If you can do all of the work and pay for the advertisement to get the lead, and then you're only available on Friday afternoon for 2 hours, then you're only going to ever book people that are available also on Friday afternoon for those 2 hours. You must be available. So how this breaks down is, what days of the week are you available? Is it just Monday to Friday? Are you available on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays? Because there's going to be certain portions of your population that are only available on weekends and or on weekdays. The number of times per day: morning, afternoon, and evening. Okay, if you're available at those times, then be available at those times so you can cast a bigger net. And the last thing is a small thing, but it's a big deal. If you're doing 1 hour consultations, longer consultations, I recommend you doing that. It does not mean you need to always start them on the hour, like 9, 10, 11, 12, because maybe somebody drops off the kids and they're available at 9:15. Afterwards, and that's a great time. So you can have your 1 hour consultation, but have it be available in 5 or 15-minute increments so that it is better fit to the schedule of the person you're trying to attract. If you become more available and then you have better messaging and then you do a lot more of it, you're going to get a lot more people in the door if you respond faster, and this is how you become efficient.